All right, what's up? I'm Hunter Horenstein. That is Ryan Moore, and this is Behind the Scenes presented by Riptides, Oceanfront Grill, and Rooftop Bar. All right, here we go. We're back. This is Season 2, Episode 1. That is Captain R. Moore, Pelicans General Manager and Team President. I'm Hunter Horenstein, and this is the show where we bring your questions directly to Mr. Ryan Moore as we sip here on the rooftop. It is a gorgeous fall. This is an off-season edition, off-season season of this show, and it is gorgeous out here at Riptides, Oceanfront Grill, and Rooftop Bar. What's up, Ryan? Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Hunter. It is a summer day in the fall. That is for sure. It is 84 degrees, sunny. It's like a lake out there. It's beautiful.
So if you are just catching up, we've already had 5 episodes already in season, the in-season version. This is the off-season version, so it might be a little bit different. We're going to try to venture out and try new things.
The season has ended, so cheers.
Absolutely.
For the folks that have watched our previous episodes, you'll notice that we have switched up our beverages to off-season beverages. We're going to be sipping on Coronas today. I think as we go throughout the off-season, we'll have different samplings and offerings instead of just crushing ourselves with 42-ounce mixed drinks filled with Red Bull and vodka and everything else under the sun.
They were delicious, and they were also called Everything Under the Sun. But yes, filming these at like 1 o'clock, the 2 o'clock slot that we allotted for ourselves, and then drinking all of that alcohol, the productivity of that afternoon was significantly hampered.
Yeah, we're maturing.
It's called growth. It's called growth.
But they'll be back for in-season next year.
Absolutely. But this is the off-season version, so things will kind of go through in this winter and this fall and see how things go. But one thing is for sure, we will take your questions, and we will take them directly to Ryan Moore. Any questions you might have about the team, about the staff, about the players, about baseball in general, or life, why not? You can ask your questions on Facebook, on Twitter. We'll even open it up on Instagram as we head into the off-season here. It's been a great season of Pelicans baseball, but now the real work kind of starts to get going. We're right back at it.
It is. This isn't planned, but like the sky wheel turning in the distance is kind of representative of how our industry works. It's like it's a constant motion, and you're in different stages at different times of the year, but in some essences, for different departments in our office, it is slowing down right now a little bit, and in other departments it is picking up, and for some it just constantly stays pretty much the same, consistently busy. But now we transition. We've kind of gone through a nice kind of 2-week period where we could decompress and let the weight of the season off of our shoulders, get ready for next year, and looking forward to doing it. It's been a while since we've had quote unquote a traditional off season, and not to say that this is going to be as normal as what we've expected or experienced in years past, but there is some normalcy to it that we haven't had in a really long time. What was it? August 24th of 2019 was our last game until we opened back up in May of this year. So that made things a lot different in the off season, in the office, and everything that surrounds it. So we'll see what the future holds.
It's a good segue into the first question that we got from Twitter. This one's from Jeffrey on Twitter. He was asking, what does your staff do in the off season?
Everybody does. It's a true business operation with different departments. So it's not like everyone jumps into one aspect and everybody goes and does that. Everybody has their schedule of activities, and you look behind the camera, and Nurse is just coming out of having to work and produce the game experience. Now that the season's over, doesn't mean that his job doesn't start back up until we play baseball games again. There's the other content series, other pieces that we're doing, whether it's for ourselves, for our partners, internal uses, external uses, and that's just one example. Operations obviously goes through their preventative maintenance plan. We close up shop in the majority of our concession operations. We'll still have events here and there, so that still has to stay operational. But I think the biggest change probably goes to our sales folks, and getting getting into the mode of selling for the 2022 season opposed to selling for the current season, and bringing back our returning fans, bringing in some new ones, working on new partnerships with local businesses, and so on and so forth. And then, like yourself, once you kind of describe, instead of me telling what you do, your department shifts gears tremendously as well. Not to say you're not as busy, but it's definitely a different type of work.
So in season, usually we're focused obviously on the day-to-day, on the social side and the social media side, where we don't really take a break on that, because it is just always going, and it is a huge component to our overall marketing goals and objectives and our strategy. But the content, I guess, shifts. It's stuff that, how do we get our team partners involved? How do we get the community involved? How do we continue to keep that connection with our fans? We don't have baseball content coming in, day out. So let's go back to the archives. How can we make engaging stuff? How can we still be interesting? How can we also be informative? That's the other thing, is how do we keep people up to date with what's going on with the ball club? How do we kind of take down that curtain a little bit? I think that's something we've really strived to do, and humanize our voice and humanize our brand. So that's one side of it. And then the next is we get ready to go as far as the entertainment is concerned for next season. So in the coming weeks, we sit down, all of us in a room, and we go through what worked, what didn't work in 2020, 21.
Keep, kill, change.
Exactly. And we look at everything from giveaways to weekly promos to our promo nights, everything that we've done that helps enhance the fan experience. We look at, we scrutinize, and we really see what can we get better at, what do we need to change, and then what's maybe played out, what needs to move. And then from there, as the off season continues, we get ready to bring those theme nights, those giveaways, those promo nights, the weekly promos, the promo calendar, that starts to come to life as we get more and more into the off season. But there's a lot of work to be done, and it's nice that we get to have a full off season, quote, full off season to do it, rather than just the 5 weeks that we were given.
Yeah, you
last
could look
year.
at it 5 weeks or 5 years, depending on which aspect of it. How does this off season differ from years past, when, say, the Cubs were in the playoffs, in that there was still baseball content to lean on because our affiliate was still playing baseball, and this year, as we know, the Cubs aren't going to be making the playoffs? How does that change how you interact and engage?
Yeah, I think the easy answer is you go where the conversation is, which obviously the playoffs are going to be a big deal. World Series, obviously people will be watching that. Now, our audience is more geared towards the Cubs, so there is a little bit of a tougher task to gather that attention or to interact with those folks. I think it's two things. One, and we're going to kind of do it a little bit more, and we did it in some of our posts coming into this offseason, is we'll go back to the highlight reels and we'll go back to the archives. And, there's a good amount of folks on the internet that follow us and within our online community who are very invested in the future of the Cubs. And I think that's kind of where the direction of Cubs fandom is now. It's that future. It's who's coming up next. We're in a great position to be able to provide that content. So going back and providing those highlights, maybe reaching out to some of those players and seeing if we can't get them on some content series or get them into one-off series where we can bring them to our audience. That's number one. But then number two is where is the conversation going? We'll certainly be involved in the conversation with the postseason, with October baseball. There's plenty of former Pelicans who are doing good things in for their teams that are headed to the playoffs. So we'll celebrate them and we'll try to jump into that conversation. I think for our account, we become fans a little bit too. This is our opportunity to sit back and talk baseball, talk shop, and then once the World Series is over, then it shifts to next year. Let's get ready for next year. Let's get excited for next year. All right, so that question then from Jeffrey about what we were doing in the off season, I want to kind of dovetail off of that. You mentioned earlier we did have some kind of decompression time and some time to relax. What are those things? How does the staff? How do you decompress? How do you relax while also knowing there is work to be done in the off season?
I'm going to take that question, kind of spin it in a little bit of a different manner. But I think it's going to answer your question indirectly. This industry, our industry, minor league baseball, and it's certainly not exclusive to our industry, but has always been a kind of a badge of honor to grind it out and work as hard as you possibly can. And I don't necessarily follow that belief system that the harder you work, the better the result is. I think that we as managers have to be cognizant of the quality of life of the people who make up our operations, and make sure that there's a good work-life balance, and make sure that people have the time for their own mental health to be able to decompress. And you ask, how do you decompress? I think everyone has their different ways of doing it. Some people in our office, I know, spent some time doing projects around their house, and they felt an accomplishment for knocking that out. Me personally, I'm more in a vegetative state. I like going to the beach and maybe putting a podcast on or reading a book. I enjoy going out golfing, but I think it's each individual has their own kind of system in place that gets them to a spot where they're recharged and ready to go for the next season. What about you?
I'm kind of more of the vegetative state. I think the beach days just sit there. I did take 2 days. I think the Monday and Tuesday after our season's over, I don't think I left my couch. Netflix just the whole time, in and out of sleep. It was beautiful. But yeah, golfing, taking advantage of things slowing down. I think one of the things that I don't think people quite grasp is how quickly all of this stuff goes. It just seems like yesterday we were getting ready to open the gates, and then it seems like, oh, it's July 4th now, and then all of a sudden it's over. And I think when you're in it, you're going, and you go day to day, and you survive in advance, and you're able to go homestand to homestand, and the excitement of that keeps you going.
It's very much like being a parent, where it's like the days are long, but the time is fast.
Right.
Where it's like, my oldest is about to be 4, and it feels just like yesterday we were getting ready to go to the hospital for him to be born. And days are long, but the time is short. And
right.
And that's kind of how it works in our line of work.
And then you look up, and then the season's over, and so then you have that time when I don't have to get ready for a game that night. I don't have to plan 6 days in advance knowing that I'm going to be home.
Plan food.
I do have to plan food.
That's the life thing that changes.
I don't like that. The fact that now I have to make my own dinner, it's ridiculous. I hate it.
There's a lot more communicating in my household now. It's like, okay, what's the plan? Like in baseball season, it's like you're either at the ballpark or at your home. I have to decide what I'm going to wear
to work now, because I'm so used to shorts and a dry fit, and then I know it's going to be a polo of some sort. Now I actually have to do laundry, and
I'm with you.
Find clothes that I haven't worn in a year.
This time of year, the runway to decision making is longer, right? Like you don't have that typically. I'm going to probably knock on wood here and regret saying it, but you typically don't have those like major pressing issues,
right?
Like you would in a season atmosphere. So your runway to decision making is longer, so you don't incur that stress, anxiety, whatever that comes with making that decision, and you have the time to huddle up, where in season you don't necessarily have the time to kind of collaborate. It's, hey, I've got to make the best decision, I think, in this moment and move on. And in the off season, there's a lot more time for groupthink, which I think you alluded to earlier about our internal retreat. Well, we'll do our keep, kill, change, but we're also doing that collectively, actually starting tonight, with the other GMs and executives within our league are descending upon Myrtle Beach for a 2-day fall retreat to talk about the same type of things. Shared practices. What did people learn? What are some things that we can learn from others, and collectively, how can we get better as an industry through our league? And
so talk about that a little bit, because that's a unique perspective, because you're getting the lead operators of other organizations, and while the philosophy of what we do is the same throughout the league. Different teams are in different markets, have different needs and different wants, and there's a lot. Not every shoe fits each person. So what can you learn, and how do you take the information and say, okay, this is how it works for us?
I think everything with a grain of salt. To your point, it's how you can't press and repeat because the markets are different, staff sizes are different, multitude of different factors. But you can take the general premise of an idea of like, okay, I like that. And tweak it, and it's not always just about kind of the X's and O's. Culturally, the culture of the office is talked about. Vendors. Who are we working with? How can we make our lives easier? Hey, we found that by working with the XYZ company, we were able to achieve savings, and our operations were enhanced. And it's like, okay, let me jot that down and something to look at. It's also that group therapy that we talked about as well, that you just sit around and commiserate a little bit and realize, okay, we weren't the only ones that experienced that, and hey, we can do this together. Also seeing more of a regional approach to some aspects within our league, because we do span kind of 3 different geographical locations, like North, Central, and South. Having 4 teams in South Carolina is definitely a benefit to us that we've never had before. Being able to collaborate with the other operators of those teams is definitely a benefit for our operations here, and we'll only continue to enhance that as this new system continues to grow. I'm sure if Kristen was here, she'd have a whole list of like the bullet points in the agenda of what we're going to talk about, because it is structured and we do have a lot of things, but a lot of it just goes back to what worked and what didn't, and can that be something that we can apply where we are, or is that just something to kind of keep in the back of our mind in the future that it might be something that we can apply.
So it's a really free-flowing conversation for this first episode of Season 2. It's an off-season edition here of Behind the Seams, but you can ask your questions, and you can bring them directly to Ryan Moore. Twitter, Facebook, we'll open it up on Instagram this off-season, and all of those questions will come straight to Ryan Moore, and he'll answer them to the best of his ability. We've had some really good ones in season. This is the off-season edition, though, so truly behind the seams, baseball pun. But you'll actually get to see and understand what we do on a daily basis, because I think a lot of folks ask us, oh, do you go home at the end of the season? No, we don't. We get ready to rock and roll for opening day 2022, which the season schedule has just come out Ryan. And one of the questions that we did see on social was, what excites you about that schedule? There's a couple of new teams. There's a couple of old friends that are coming back into town, and the season now starts in April.
You want to know the truth?
Yes.
We're still in our 2-week decompression period, so I've skimmed it. I have not looked at it closely. I know when we're home, and I know when we're away. I couldn't really tell you who we're playing, where we're playing. I'm excited that we're going to be home for July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. That's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday weekend celebration. We're going to be home for Easter, so that means that we will open up during spring break, which is always a fun time to kick off baseball here at the beach. 6-game series are back. I like them. I know there is mixed opinion about it, but I do think that the benefits outweigh the negatives. Probably be playing the majority of our games at night, like we always do. And we'll get into, when are we going to do fireworks? What our weekly promotions going to be? And, let us know what you like. Let us know what you didn't like. Let us know what ideas you have. We're always going to keep some of the staples, but we're always going to change up some things, add things, and modify it. And a lot of the ideas that we've come up with aren't necessarily generated from folks within the office. It's listening to people outside of the organization with a suggestion and saying, hey, have you ever thought about this? And it's like, no, but that is something that we should think about. So drop us a line. You mentioned the
6-game homestands, and that's a great segue into this other question that we got on Facebook. This is from Edmund. He says, does the team ever get time to unwind together? The 6-game stands sound exhausting.
I don't want to speak for a player. I never do, never but I will answer in what I would suspect would be their answer, but I'm not the one to ask, but I will try my best to answer. 6-game series seem exhausting, and while in them, it's probably the same thing that we talked about. You know, the days are long, the series are short, type of thing. I think the new system is a lot less exhausting than what the previous system was. The 6 games in a row change is that you're playing the same opponent for 6 games. Many times, the teams were playing for far more days consecutively than just 6, with multiple road trips intermixed. If you look at 2019, I believe we had a 12-game road trip split up amongst 3 cities with no off days. And I believe the off day was the day following that, so you don't even really get a full off day because you're not coming back until late in the evening. The way that the new system is set up, every single Monday outside of the July 4th, where it'll be swapped for Tuesday, but for all intents and purposes, every Monday is an off day. And they do get to unwind. And with the geography tighter together, they're home earlier on Sunday, so they get a full true off day on Monday. 99% of the time, they're not getting on a bus on Monday to go to their game on Tuesday. They're waking up Tuesday morning and driving to Charleston, driving to Columbia, driving to Augusta. So I don't want to say it's not exhausting, but I think the system is set up now for it to be less exhausting, and for specifically our players and our team, what better place to decompress than the beach on a Monday and have the whole day and get ready to come back to work on Tuesday.
And you could also come and get lunch here at Riptides, Oceanfront Grill and Rooftop Bar. One of our producers over there, Ryan Canella, he's been on the show before. He's chowing down into something. Shrimp mac and cheese.
Nothing like a shrimp mac and cheese on an 85-degree eating outside day.
Good food to be had though here at Riptides. Good drinks as well.
We're coming for dinner tomorrow night.
Oh yeah.
Yep. All the representatives from across the league that will be here for the retreat. We're having dinner here 7:30.
Fantastic. There you go.
So maybe we'll get some reviews from the our visitors to the beach.
We'll have to get that. Get some reviews. We'll go through them on the next episode here on Behind the Scenes. Good food, good drink. Like we mentioned, it's a little bit different now. This is the off season, so we don't have our big Mesa mega mug that we sell at the ballpark. We still have that at the ballpark, and we will have it next season. But we're switching it up a little bit. Got some Coronas and everything. I know last season we were about trying to finish as much of the mug as we could, and Moore won that. But this is nice. This is nicer, just sipping and relaxing.
Before you get into your next question,
yes,
the swag and cool factor for our executive producer, yeah. From when we met him like over a year ago to now, the beach life has done wonders for him.
You know what I appreciate about Yaya is that last homestand, the last 6 games of the homestand, this man came dressed to the nines every single game. I don't know what was going on. I don't know if it was a celebration of the end of the season or he just found more clothes, but this man came ready to go. But Dakota, affectionately known as Yaya in the office, one of our seasonal assistants, and we just said goodbye to another one just recently, Sarah Nemo, in the promotions department, and we've said goodbye to a few of them. It's that time of the year now, but doing just a tremendous job for our organization. Truly, we could not have. I say this sincerely. This is not a bit. Sincerely, we could not have done this season without their help, because it takes a village, and in this season especially, this job is hard enough as it is, but especially this season with the goalposts changing seemingly every week, every day, not as many resources, not as much time, not as much manpower as we're used to. They certainly came out and did a fantastic job for us.
Fundamentally, our industry is reliant on training and giving an introduction to sports to the next generation of leaders. And to see where so many people over the years, I first started in Myrtle Beach in 2008, so that that's a lot of intern classes or seasonal assistants, whatever the terms change over the years. But to see where people were and where they are, and the growth and what our industry is able to do to propel people to that, but also that our industry is relying on it. It's a beautiful marriage, really, that you're able to foster that, but that fostership, I'm not even sure if that's a word, but that fostership allows our industry to thrive and get new creative minds coming in on an annual basis, where not every industry has that influx of new ideas and new energy that close to the decision makers. Every team in sports has internship programs, assistantships, whatever you want to call it. But find me an industry where each and every single person is so close to the decision making that is done than minor league baseball. We could sit here for hours and go back and forth, naming different people and where they're at now and where. But yeah, it's a lot of respect goes into the people that move across the country for very little money to gain experience, to grow, and then to see them take that opportunity and really cash in on it is awesome.
It truly is. It's also one of the more rewarding parts of this gig. We've got one more question for you, and we'll end on a fun one. This one is coming via Instagram. Your World Series pick, or how do you see? We're filming this before the season's even over, so how do you see the October baseball playoff scenario shaking out?
I just want to see good baseball. I want to see baseball in the headlines. I want the conversation to be about fall baseball and what did you miss when you went to bed too early last night? What heroics capped off a comeback? Or, is it a dominating pitching performance? I just want to see good baseball.
Beautiful day here at RipTydz. We are filming this on September 28th right now. 29th. We are a couple days away, 48 hours away from October, and it is just beautiful out here. So if you are in the area, if you want to come visit Myrtle Beach, make sure you come on down to RipTydz. Oceanfront Grill, Rooftop Bar. They've got 3 different levels. They've got one level down at the bottom. It's got sand, it's got chairs, it's got cornhole. They've got their oceanfront dining, which is in the 2nd level, huge bar, and then obviously the rooftop, which we're at. And it is just phenomenal food, phenomenal drinks, great time to be had. Moore is bringing the executives from around the league down here. Players, staff, all love this spot, so make sure you guys come down here. We have their big mega mugs at the ballpark. Those will be back in 2022, and that's a ton of drink for a great price at the ballpark. A ton of fun to be had, and it is the home of Behind the Seams as well. We record here on the rooftop bar, and again, not a green screen.
It's hotter. I feel hotter today. I can't feel hotter. I feel warmer due to the heat than I think I have on any day that we've been up here.
I'm sweating profusely
it's
right
almost
now.
October, and I'm coming through my shirt.
Beautiful day in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. We're looking forward to a great winter. This is the season of Behind the Seams. That's Ryan Moore. He's Pelicans team president and general manager. I'm Hunter Horenstein. This was episode 1. Want to remind you can always give your questions to us, and we'll bring them right to Ryan Moore. He'll answer them to the best of his ability on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Until next time, we've got a brand new season coming for you, all off season long. We'll be right here. We're going to be sipping some drinks, talking some shop, right here beachside at Oceanfront Grill and Rooftop Bar here at RipTydz. For Ryan Moore, I'm Hunter Horenstein. We'll see you next time.